So what do we have here? We're getting rid of these self-help books from the early 80s, the late 70s, and the early 80s. Jane, give us the titles.
The Erotic Mind by Jack Morin, Ph.D.
All right. That's certainly a self-help book.
The Seat of the Soul, Gary Zukav.
Famous Gary Zukav. That's a famous book.
Opening Our Hearts to Men.
Opening Our Hearts to Men, which
Susan
goes
Jeffers.
along with these two books here, Men Who Can't Love and...
More Men Who Can't Love.
More Men Who Can't Love.
Amazing Grace.
Jesus was a carpenter.
To Hope Again, and Jesus.
A new look at Jesus.
Jesus was
Jesus the carpenter.
Multi-talented Jesus.
The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy.
From Here to Greater Happiness.
Greater Happiness. How you can change your life for good.
Yeah.
Here's a 20-year-old book about the internet.
Which is signed.
It's signed by the author inside here, by Judy Gould. Where's the signature? It's called Finding Love Online. Men Are from Cyberspace, The Single Woman's Guide to Flirting, Dating, and Finding Love Online.
And here's the favorite,
the famous Born to Win, the beginning of transactional analysis.
Dorothy Jongward.
Those two famous women wrote that book.
Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
Oh yeah, Susan Jeffers, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
From Learning for Love to Love of Learning.
Oh, now this was some of my dad's colleagues and friends. We knew these people. Rocco Motto, Rudy Eckstein, and Rocco Motto were compatriots of my father's. They were early psychoanalysts of the 60s.
Now, how do you know if it's Stein or Steen?
I don't. Okay. Well, Eckstein, because I used to hear my parents say the name all the time.
Okay.
Honey, the Ecksteins are coming over.
Okay.
Put on a good dress.
Eckstein.
The Ecksteins are coming over.
Illusions.
The
Adventures of Reluctant Messiah.
The Reluctant Messiah. I don't think
Richard
I read that.
Bach,
but
who
we
also wrote
Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
Woo!
Richard Bach, the famous poet. Grown Ups, A Generation in Search of Adulthood. This is for the baby boomers who just can't grow up. Now it's the millennials. And this is a famous book. This is Stephen Levine. And he just died recently. He wrote a book called Who Dies? Investigation of Conscious Living and Conscious Dying. Oh, by the way, do you know about his son, Stephen... Joel Levine? Josh Levine? I think it is Stephen Levine. His son...
Is it Vine or Veen?
Levine. Stephen Levine. His son is a famous 21st century Buddhist practitioner with tattooed arms and piercings.
Yeah.
His son went
Does he
total
go Against the Stream?
Yeah, he created...
Against the Stream.
He created... If you heard
Oh, yes, I know. I don't know him, but yeah.
Levine.
I'd go there.
Well, this is his dad. His dad was a psychiatrist, and his dad wrote this book on dying.
And everyone's favorite.
Codependent No More by Melody Beatty. She's famous.
But you have to read it.
I do?
No, I never read it. Yeah. I have it.
And A Practical Guide to Self-Hypnosis, and of course,
I happen to like being codependent.
For Men Who Can't Grow Up. Dan Kiley, who also wrote, by the way, The Peter Pan Syndrome, a book that shamed me terribly in the 80s.
Oh my God.
Yeah, The Peter Pan Syndrome. I just found myself on every chapter of that book.
Uh-oh.
He followed it up with The Wendy Dilemma. Change can be the beginning of a new and better relationship when women stop mothering their men by Dan Kiley.
Oh.
And all these self-help books from the 80s are all going in the trash.
And Chris is thanking them for everything they didn't do for him.
This was the foundation. I built my neurosis on these books. This is the foundation of my neurosis. I was only just getting started.
And Jane is going to take one.
And Jane's taking one that she thinks is valuable.
So she might put it on her shelf and never read it.
The timeless classic, a New York Times bestseller.
Because that's her habit.
By Gary.
Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Is this by Zukav?
This is by Jack Canfield, and Mark Victor Hansen.
Okay, the beginning of a huge...
And you got it for steel for $9.71.
That sounds expensive to me. All right.
All right.
Thank you, boys and girls.
Okay.